Well, I graduated from Walton High School in 1982, and my mother brought me down to Georgia State. No spring break in between, and I was enrolled at Georgia State. I got involved with the radio broadcast here at Georgia State and learned from the gentleman who was the radio voice of Georgia State when I first got here. And then he graduated, and I kind of took over, filled his shoes, and filled the seat. And 33 years later, I'm still here. Done over 1,000 broadcasts, probably over 900 basketball. Also do football and do baseball as well. And Georgia State's only had football for going on 7 years. But I was up at Furman University in Greenville for 12 years prior to Georgia State adding football. But as far as getting better at what we do for play-by-play, usually what I tell folks is you can sit in a classroom and learn it. You can listen to people do it. You can watch people, as we all do on TV, or listen on the radio. But the best way to learn how to do it is to jump in and do it. Ultimately, it's like anything else. It comes down to preparation. And I kind of have fallen into a system of preparation that I do for each of the sports that I call, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball. I have preparation sheets that I do. Obviously, on the internet, there's a lot of information that's available. And so when I sit down and put those headsets on, I feel that I'm as prepared as I can possibly be, not only for the Georgia State side of things, but for the visiting team, whoever we happen to be playing. And it differs with each sport. Basketball, I've been doing it for 33 years. I've got it down to a science. Kind of the same with football and baseball. I mean, I have the system that works for me. Football takes a little bit longer, obviously, because you're dealing with a whole lot more players in many instances, and kind of a similar situation in baseball, because by the time I get to the park, even though I know who some of the starters are going to be, you never get the starting lineup until you get there, whereas with basketball, I can have pretty much everything prepared before I ever sit down and put the headsets on. So, for me, as far as getting better over the years, it's a combination of experience, combination of the preparation that I do, and all that kind of mixed together in the cauldron is what comes out when I start talking on any given broadcast on any given night. Well, one thing we like to do, depending on where the team is playing, if it's not our engineer, then Mike Holmes will come up and they'll take a quick picture of the radio crew, really just to kind of show where we've been and the teams that we've played. So, for example, last year at the NCAA tournament down at the Coliseum in Jacksonville, the photographer that Mike had hired came over and took a picture of Brandon and I courtside, just to kind of commemorate the fact that we were again in the NCAA tournament. We hadn't been there in 14 years, and it was cool to have a photo. And of course, Mike can then turn around and use it in the media guide the following season. I like to take photos at some of the arenas during the season that I've never been to before. I mean, a lot of them, especially once we get into conference play in the Sun Belt, I've been to those arenas basically every year. So even though it's cool to go back, I don't necessarily need a picture of me at that arena again. For example, in football, when Georgia State played at Alabama the first year in 2010, and again a couple years later, cool to take a picture of us at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Same thing when we were at West Virginia, and when Georgia State played at Tennessee, and they played at Washington, and this past year played at Oregon. We always try to get a radio crew picture with the stadium and the field behind us, just to kind of, show that we were there. And, it's a cool picture to look at. A couple years later, and the football crew is myself, Brandon Leak, who works radio here in town, Harper LaBelle, who played in the NFL, I think for 10 years, played for a few years with the Atlanta Falcons as a long snapper, and then Rick Shaw and Brian Giffen are our engineers, and for the home games and a few of the road games, Sam Crenshaw, who used to work local television here in Atlanta at Channel 11, he does some of our sideline reporting. So we've got a good crew. We all enjoy working with one another. We all enjoy traveling and hanging out with one another. And, it's cool to have a photo, from the places that we go from season to season.
My name is Mike Holmes. I'm the Associate Athletic Director for Communications here at Georgia State University. I'm a two-time graduate, proud alum of this university, and I've been with our communications department now back since return to Georgia State in 2008. I serve as our primary contact for our men's basketball team and our two golf teams, as well as I'm our secondary contact for football. Our department basically serves everything with dealing with the media, our coaches, our student athletes. We kind of look at ourselves as a liaison between the two. We run game days. We work with our radio crews, our TV crews, basically to give them as much knowledge about what's going on that night for that particular sport. So, for example, with a basketball game, before we ever even get to the game, I'm doing a preview, putting notes together, fulfilling media or credential requests. Game day comes around, we're setting up the gym to deal with media, TV, radio. Post-game, doing a post-game press conference with the coach and multiple players. After the game, writing a recap, updating statistics, and basically then getting ready for the next game. And so, over the course of a season, a 4 or 5 month basketball season, you're playing 30 games. So it really is a true day-to-day, you've got to know everything about your team. And that's what we pride ourselves with our staff of really knowing our student athletes, knowing our coaches, and trying to get Georgia State as much coverage as possible.
Today I learned about the preparation and what it takes to be a play-by-play announcer, or basically in the media communication group. And it really takes preparation. It's not just walking up to a table saying, okay, I'm going to record this. It's all about the preparation, and you got to know the background about the game that's going on and the type of sport that you are broadcasting. And you really have to learn how the crew works, because people can be up in the box and they could be working down on the field or even on the court with a type of update that the people in the box will need. So today I learned about what it really takes to be a sports analysis, and I really look into it. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.